Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Anybody have any strange experiences in life? Nearly abducted at View, Orange Orbs, connects to a UFO thread. All right, let's start with my own stories. I don't have many, but I figured since I made one before, I might as well share them all. Some are not too spooky, just weird occurrences. But I'll start with a real spooky one. Be me. Out with 3 friends at a View since we live in the suburbs and it's the only thing we can do. Let's call them James, Blake, and Marcus. We got there around 8. And as the night went, more and more cars slowly started leaving, and eventually we were the only ones at the View. There's a kind of old wives' tale that this spot is haunted or rumored Native American burial grounds, but we all thought this was bull. Then something happened that to this day I cannot explain. I was sitting on the bed of my friend's pickup truck next to James. Suddenly I see these orange, orb-like lights flying in the distance. I thought it was just fireflies or some weird bugs, but I noticed they were zipping around the sky at an impossible speed. Suddenly the lights get closer and get behind me and James. I feel a warm sensation on the back of my head, and Marcus and Blake have their eyes wide in terror. Marcus tells me, "Don't move." Then I just see Marcus and Blake's faces light up, like if someone were to take a picture with the flash on, but instead of white, it is orange. Then just as it started, the orange orbs just shot off into the sky and disappeared. We all got the sudden feeling of dread and decided to get the hell out of there. Never went back to that View again. Years later, I was working on editing videos and came across a 4chan thread about UFOs. Read this quote that talked about orange orbs and a chill ran up my spine. Orange is a mineral/bioscanning mode. Since most people see orange, you're likely being scouted or selected for an abduction. It can see your heart beating and even the valves pushing the blood inside just to add some more perspective. So glad we didn't stick around. The ghost town. Be me. Driving back from Colorado with my high school friend, let's call him Jake. It's about 2 a.m. and Jake wants to get some gas, so he tells me he is going to fill up at the next gas station. We see a single big illuminated sign with the word gas, driving through a small town. All the houses are deserted, boarded up, abandoned cars. It's creepy as F. I find it odd that not a single house has their lights on, nor any working cars parked in front. Pull up to gas station, as this is the only thing that is providing us light. Jake is the type where he doesn't trust gas pumps, so he goes inside to pay. Jake comes back, says nobody is in the gas station. I asked him if he checked the bathroom, and he said there was nobody in there at all. Jake gets a weird vibe and was about to pay when he turns towards me and says, "Do you think we should just go?" I replied, "What do you mean?" Jake said, "I just have a weird feeling being here." Jake gets back in the car, and we just drive fast as F out of there. A few months pass, and Jake tells me if I remember the town we came across. He said he drove by there again coming back home from Colorado, and he swears that the town was full of people, houses not boarded up, and that the gas station was no longer there. I'm not sure what to make of this. The feeling we got being there felt as if we slipped into another reality, and our internal alarm bells were just ringing for us to get the hell out of there. Weird roar sound in Oregon. So I still wonder what kind of animal or creature this could have been. Hard to describe over Greentext, but I will try my best. So I was hiking on a bike trail with my oldest brother Brad in Oregon, chatting about random things when we suddenly hear a short noise like a mix of a roar and bird screech, lasts only about 3 seconds in intervals. Think it is just an animal in the distance. Keep walking and hear it again, but closer this time. Considering this was not a normal trail and we don't know where it leads to and not too far from our campsite, we decide to turn around and go back. Years later, I went on a day hike with my 2 friends from college. Misjudged the timing of when we started the hike and finished the hike up in the start of sunset. Head back. It's nighttime and we are using our flashlights on our phone to light the path back. Hear that exact same sound, pitch and intervals that I heard years ago with my brother. Chill runs across my body, but I try not to show it since I'm with 2 girls and don't want to freak them out. Pick up the pace. Noise is louder and more frequent this time. Is getting closer. My friend hears it and says, "What the hell was that?" We start to jog, which becomes a run. trying not to eat shit, but I tell them to go ahead of me, and I am the last in line because protective instinct kicks in. Thing is much closer, and I hear footsteps and branches breaking behind me. Sounds bipedal. Took us about 20 minutes to get back to the car. We basically ran for our lives and quickly got in the car. Locked the doors. Turned high beams on scanning the tree line. Nothing. Eventually left the area. Was in Oregon for about 3 years after this and went on plenty of hikes, but thankfully never heard this noise again. Random lady we never seen before says hi to my brother. We were kids playing in my front yard. I was about 12 years old playing in the front yard with my brother. See a random lady in workout clothes walking on the sidewalk approaching our yard. Think nothing of it considering people here always go for walks. Lady walks right in front of our yard, turns to my brother and says, "Hi, brother's name." Keeps on walking down the street. My brother has a look of confusion on his face. Ask him, "Do you know her?" Bro says no. We have never seen this lady before in our lives. Ask our parents and describe what she looked like, and they too never seen her before. We only knew 2 neighbors in our little street, and they are both elderly, and I knew for sure that the lady was not them. Kind of creepy. Dad saves drowning man. Has an internal feeling to keep exploring. This story is not of my own, but of my dad's. We were at a lake in Nevada for a family reunion. We basically rode jet skis and grilled, and my dad decided to take his jet ski out by himself for some alone time. He told me that he went way out into the lake past where anyone was. This lake is huge and has many channels splitting off, and he decides to take one. He said he went really far into the channel and began to think, "What the hell am I doing this far? I could get lost and nobody would find me." He said he was about to turn around, but something internally kept telling him to keep going a little further. He kept going, and each time he thought about turning around, that same feeling came over him, so he continued on like this for a while. Then, oddly enough, he sees a lone jet ski with no one on it floating off in the distance, being dragged by the current. He approaches the jet ski a little closer when suddenly he sees a man shoot out to the surface, gasping for air. Holy shit, he is drowning, my dad thought. Guy takes what appears to be his last breath and fight for life before sinking beneath the waves. My dad speeds up to where he saw the guy and reaches down into the water as far as he can, and sure enough, he feels the guy grab onto his hand. Dad pulls him onto the jet ski, and the guy is just gasping for air. Dad reassures him he is okay now and to catch his breath. Guy tells my dad after calming down that he can't believe it. He saved his life. He said he was on his last leg, and when he was drowning, he just kept praying to God to save him, pleading for some kind of help, and that he was so tired that at the moment he took his final breath of air before giving out to exhaustion, he saw my dad approaching him from a distance. My dad said he never had any weird or spiritual experiences in his life until that day. So my dad saved a man's life that day, pretty wild. Hiking in Oregon, feeling of being watched. Be me. Visiting Oregon before my move for college. Spend a week exploring the state and hiking trails. Hit this popular trail, but it is raining and cloudy and basically alone. I was enjoying the scenery and felt at peace. Hiked for about 15 to 20 minutes. I decided I hiked far enough and didn't want to risk going further, being the only one here with no firearm or satellite phone. Turn around and about 1 minute heading back. I get the sudden feeling that I'm being watched. Get paranoid because I don't want to get attacked by a mountain lion. The terrain was a straight wall to my right and the river to my left. Basically enough space and sparse vegetation to where nothing could be hiding without me seeing it. Feeling intensifies. Freaking out internally because I can't shake the feeling I am being watched but hear no sounds at all. Not even the river flowing, which is weird AF considering I'm close enough to see the river flowing and would take me no longer than 20 seconds to walk to if I wanted. Fast walk the trail as I don't want to run and kick off a mountain lion's predatory instinct to chase me. I don't know how to explain this, but something in my primal brain told me to run. Just run like hell. If you don't run, it will get you. I ran as fast as I could back to my car and left the trailhead back onto the government road. UFO in Mexico. Be my parents. On vacation. Swimming in the Sea of Cortez. About 7 o'clock. Sun setting. Mom sees a silver sphere in the sky on fire, moving at a rapid speed towards a small mountain. Disappears behind the mountain. Feels a huge rumble like an earthquake. Shortly after, a bunch of emergency vehicles and Mexican military boats head towards the back of the hillside. Following day, the beach is closed, and they see Mexican military on the streets, and one of the soldiers had a microphone ordering everyone to stay in their homes. Parents turn the TV on, and there is an emergency broadcast telling everyone to stay in their homes because of a cartel and military gunfight going on in the area. The following day, my parents were heading out, and they were about to take the road that goes near the small mountain where they saw the UFO. There is a blockade and a detour. In the distance, they see black helicopters and a bunch of the Mexican military. Weird thing was, the soldiers were all in black uniform and not the normal color pattern of the traditional Mexican military. About an hour passes, and my dad says he noticed a black car following them. Siren kicks off. Great, an undercover cop. Mexican police are corrupt, so my parents were not too concerned, as they typically take cash and you get off the hook. They get pulled over. Dad has his cash ready when he notices it's not a cop, but two white men in black. Dad said the two men addressed them both by their names, even though they had never seen these two men before in their life. Basically asked them what they saw that night. Dad knew better and said they didn't see anything. Guy says, "Good, I would keep to that. Because if you don't, we will pay you a visit in their current address in the States." Told my dad to have a safe trip. The weirder thing was, when they got to the border, there was a lane open but blocked off. They were waiting in traffic when cops cleared a path and basically escorted my parents to the open lane. Didn't ask for passports. Nothing, just had them go straight through with no questions asked. Dad always told me he never experienced any paranormal things in life, but with his current age, he figured he'd tell me now, as it had been in the back of his mind for years. Nearly kidnapped. Be me. I am about 12 years old. Look more like 9 years old. In a clothing store at the mall with my mom. I was an explorer type of kid, so I just went off to the opposite side of the aisle looking at clothes while my mom looked at outfits. Got bored and was playing with my phone when I noticed a guy kept looking in my direction. Guy says, "That's a cool outfit, kid." I say nothing because who the F are you? Guy looks at my phone and says, "That's a nice phone." Say thanks. Guy says, "Can I see it?" Get weird-ass vibes and tell him my battery is low and walk away. As I am hurrying back to my mom at a fast walking pace, I look over to the aisle across the clothes and see the same guy matching my pace and looking over at me. Get back to my mom and the guy is gone. I think about this a lot now that I'm older, and I either think he wanted to steal my phone or kidnap me, maybe both. Think about it. What grown man tries to have a full-on conversation with a young kid? Did he want my phone to steal it? Or did he want it to make sure I had no way to call for help? Human trafficking happens in public places more often than you think, and I can't help but feel like I could have been a victim had I given him my phone.
Astral projection to the dark side of the moon. Whether this is purely my imagination or a real experience, I don't know, but I figured I'd share. Be me. Young. Having a phase of spirituality and going down rabbit holes about astral projection and meditation and third eye stuff. Take up astral projection. Try so many times to experience a real vivid experience. One day it happens, I can see myself leave my body and fly around the world with no restrictions. I think this is so cool. Decide to travel the universe. Think to myself, fly to a planet with intelligent life. Suddenly shoot off into space like when in Star Wars the Millennium Falcon when it enters warp speed. Come across a planet that looked like Avatar, see a weird jellyfish-like being, basically tells me I have a strong spiritual connection, says it has to go now. Jet back to Earth. Want to speak to it again. Goes back to that planet, nobody around, big sad. Go back to my room and decide to go to the dark side of the moon. See a bunch of bases and lights, explore. I am inside, see a bunch of government workers who pay no attention to me. Can't believe this. Go deeper, nobody around, feels like an area I shouldn't be in but keep going regardless, stop and look at a door when I have a sudden feeling of being watched and dread, like I am in danger. Turn around, see a gray alien. Looking into its eyes and feel nothing but fear and dread. I hear a voice tell me, you shouldn't be here. Say I am only passing by. It doesn't say anything but I feel a piercing stare into my very soul, like I am being analyzed. leave the moon and never go back. Eventually go back into my body and wake up. Now I can say that all this was my young naive imagination wanting to see things that I am just imagining, like when you are dreaming and realize you are dreaming, but that feeling I got when confronted by the gray I can't explain, it just felt pure evil. And when I came across the government-looking employees, sure, that could have been my imagination, but they paid no attention to me at all, but that gray did. I have heard on 4chan that certain areas of the moon are off limits and protected even against astral projectors. I thought it was bull, but maybe it isn't.
I just brought this story up to someone while driving today for the first time maybe since it happened. Seeing your text put a snake in my boot. OP. 2021. Stationed at Fort Carson in Colorado. Taking holiday leave, driving home to California for a few days. Take Interstate 70 through Grand Junction to Interstate 15 South. An eventful drive, but stunningly beautiful. Enjoy my time on the coast. Landlocked friends BTFO. Leaving out of Hemet, California. Some kind of road closure on Interstate 15 North. Let Google Maps take the wheel, screw it. It gives me a route along some highways in Nevada to the Interstate 80 East, the hills have eyes type of place. Decide I'll give Salt Lake City a visit, rustle some Mormons. Should be fun. I leave late in day. The sun goes down and the moon comes up, but long ago somebody has left with the cup. I like to stop for gas as few times as possible on long drives to keep my focus, helps me hold my motivation to keep moving. Remember getting to Las Vegas with little under a half tank of gas, so I see no need to stop. These hillbillies must have some gas stations up along these desert highways somewhere. I've been driving for what feels like forever at this point. Hardly awake, lane keep assist saved my life several times. Come along to this touristy alien place that looks like it might have some energy drinks. It's called ET Fresh Jerky. Pull in, launch $30 worth of slop down the gullet at maximum speed. It terrifies the locals. As I go to put the car into gear, I see it's low on fuel. There's no pumps at shithole. Me and Dan keep moving across the burning sand. Driving down Highway 318. Delirious and dangerously low on fuel. Assume I will run out and die out here. Barren desert as far as the eye can see, not a gas station or glimpse of hope in sight. Bored, tired. Dozing in and out of that road sleep. You know, the kind that violently jolts you awake. Like falling asleep standing up. My eyes burst open and are immediately greeted with the sight of the first structure I've seen in miles. A double-wide trailer-looking thing, and you guessed it. 2 shanty gas pumps in front. I pull in and up to a pump. I'm the only car here. Praying they are open, because I don't see a vehicle anywhere that the cashier must have taken to work. As I walked in, I had this awful feeling. Dreadful. Felt like a house of cards collapsing, for lack of a better way to explain it. What my eyes were seeing defied everything my subconscious was expecting. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but I was certainly expecting something. Anything. I felt literally blinded as my eyes adjusted to just how bright the interior of this place was. There were those cheap metal pantry shelves arranged just how they are in those destitute liquor stores, some small plug-in beverage refrigerators. A counter, a fan running on the desk of it, there's a newspaper and magazine rack. Otherwise normal stuff that had now dipped itself into the uncanny valley. Everything was barren, completely and totally empty. Every single shelf had nothing on it. Every single fridge had nothing in it. The walls, the counter, the floor, all of it, completely clear of anything. And white, so perfectly white. Blindingly immaculate and clean. Everything from the floor up in the entire room that I could see was so white I felt sick. Alarm bells are ringing in my head, DEFCON 1. Getting ready to about face and go back to where I done came from when my peripheral catches a lady sitting at the counter. Older, heavy-set white woman with gray hair. She is looking toward me over her glasses with her head tilted forward. She stands out in stunningly stark contrast to everything else in my sight just by the color of her skin. Can I pay inside for gas?
There ain't no gas here.
I've been driving all morning. Can I have a rest in my car out at the pumps for a while? She nods, and I go back out to my car. It was shocking, but everything starts to feel kind of surreal when you are sleep deprived. Survival instincts must not work on power-saving mode. I immediately dismiss everything that I just experienced, and I'm only thinking about taking a nap. I get into my car and lock the doors, fall asleep instantaneously. I had these awful nightmares, terrible awful nightmares about all sorts of spooky things. An amalgamation of skinwalkers, aliens, cowboys, and Indians. An X-fever dream. Wake up in a cold sweat, heart racing. The sun is beginning to set in the horizon. I drive out of there like I am running from the devil himself. Pure adrenaline, primal fear, running from a predator. In a short time I got to the outskirts of a sizable little town called Lund, Nevada. Get gas, get more sleep, and Charlie Mike towards Utah. A few weeks after getting back to Colorado, some discussion had come up somehow between myself and a friend of mine, talking about how incredible the drive-through Vale and the Grand Junction is. Everything suddenly resurfaces about the gas station and surges over me like a wave. Interrupted my friend to tell him about how weird this gas station was, how unreal it felt, how scary it was.
Yeah man, I've been through that area. Everything out that way is weird. You should see West Virginia, haha.
Try to further explain that it was far beyond just some feral Appalachia weirdness. I decided, oh, here, I'll find it on Google Maps real quick dude so you can just see some photos of this place. Looking quickly. Looking again. Find that shanty-ass jerky stand. Find Lund. I interrupt my friend to stop talking and I look feverishly. There's nothing. There is not a single gas pump along that particular stretch of highway. I got obsessed with trying to hunt the map for about a week, looking everywhere I could think of online for anyone else who may have seen this place or been there. I forgot this happened until it somehow came to mind while driving this morning. It's a little bit more than just serendipitous to see your story here tonight of all nights OP. Does anyone have anything else similar to these phantom gas stations?
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check out the Odyssey page in the description for a second archive of the channel's videos.
There's also a Rumble archive as a backup.